I'm 99% sure there's a secret Stranger Things episode coming soon. There was something unsettling about the ending of Stranger Things, and not in the obvious sense. It didn't feel disappointing or poorly made. It felt incomplete in a much stranger way. The kind of feeling that stays with you. The kind that suggests the story didn't actually conclude, it simply stopped moving. Since the finale aired, a theory called Conformity Gate has been rapidly spreading across X and TikTok, and it's behaving unlike most fan theories. This isn't fueled by emotion alone. It's methodical, analytical. Fans are dissecting frames, isolating audio layers, mirroring visuals, and mapping timelines. And once the connections start appearing, it becomes almost impossible to ignore them. At the heart of the theory is a single unsettling question. What if the finale we watched wasn't real? What if the audience never truly escaped Vecna's influence? According to Conformity Gate, the final episode doesn't represent freedom or resolution. It represents submission, a version of reality where characters quietly fall into roles they resisted for years. Mike and Nancy easing into lives that resemble their parents. Hawkins settling into calm far too easily. No upheaval, no reckoning, just quiet acceptance. And that calm is exactly what alarms people. Viewers began noticing that the characters don't radiate relief or liberation. They seem conditioned. Their journeys no longer feel defiant. They feel resolved in a way that borders on mechanical. Once that realization set in, fans began searching for answers more aggressively. That's when the details started stacking up. Background extras frozen in identical Vecna-like stances. Crowd members making unbroken eye contact with the camera. An unfinished-looking poster hanging in plain sight. A radio broadcast that stretches beyond any logical endpoint. Any one of these could be dismissed on its own. Together, they suggest design rather than coincidence. Not chaotic. Not careless. Intentional. Stranger Things has built its reputation on precision, which makes the question unavoidable. How does a series this tightly controlled allow so many anomalies in its final moments? Conformity Gate offers a disturbing explanation. The finale itself is part of the deception. And from there, the theory takes its boldest step. The idea that Netflix is concealing a real final episode. One that would reveal the characters never escaped at all, and that the ending we saw was Vecna's final act of manipulation. As viewers continued looking closer, the clues became harder to dismiss. A line of dialogue where Steve uses the wrong name, something that somehow survived scripting, filming, editing, and approval. Mike Wheeler's appearance subtly shifting to mirror Vecna's silhouette. On its own, symbolic at best. In context, it feels more like infection than accident. Then there's the final image during the end credits. The dice is not ambiguous. It lands on 7. Centered, clear, impossible to miss. Fans quickly noticed another coincidence. The finale released, and exactly 7 days later lands on January 7th. 7 days, the same length of time Will vanished in Season 1. The same number repeatedly tied to the show's themes of cycles, turns, and fate. If the story is finished, why end it with a Dungeons and Dragons symbol? From the very beginning, Stranger Things framed reality through the lens of a game. Dice weren't props, they were rules. Monsters had mechanics. Choices had consequences. Ending the series on a die that hasn't finished rolling doesn't feel like a nostalgic callback. It feels suspended. Fans then revisited the very first D&D scene and compared it to the final one, and something deeply uncomfortable surfaced. The door handle changes sides, on the left in the beginning, on the right at the end. A detail easy to overlook, until you remember what the show calls the real world. The right side up. Here, where the theory tightens. When the final image is flipped, the visual language suddenly matches the upside down's internal logic. The space aligns. The symmetry clicks. What appears normal only does so because we're viewing it from the wrong orientation. Reality hasn't been restored. It's still reversed. Then there's the radio transmission. Viewers listening through headphones insist there's something buried beneath the broadcast, faint, distorted, repeating. Mike, wake up. That detail reframes everything. Vecna's control has never been physical alone. It operates through dreams, perception, altered states, and psychological traps. Being told to wake up implies the listener is still asleep, still contained inside an artificial reality. And the message isn't random. It's directed at Mike, the storyteller, the translator of chaos, the character who gives meaning to the impossible. His final role isn't heroism. It's narration. Then there's the Hopper scene that refuses to fade from discussion. Mid-conversation, Hopper locks eyes directly with the camera while delivering a line about guilt, punishment, and self-inflicted suffering. Not a glance, not a near miss. Direct eye contact. Then, without pause, he looks back at Mike and continues as if nothing happened. That's not an accident. Stranger Things does not violate eyeline rules without intent. That line isn't just for the characters. It's aimed outward, at the audience. And then there's the book. Seen twice in the background. Same title. Same framing. Mr. What's It? This isn't decoration. In Stranger Things lore, that name is tied to deception, entities that mislead rather than attack, that distort perception instead of destroying bodies. Creatures that convince you the wrong reality is the right one. Why would a symbol tied to illusion appear during scenes meant to signify closure? No one has answered that. And that's exactly why this theory refuses to disappear. This isn't denial. It isn't coping. Fans aren't joking anymore. They're analyzing footage side by side, filtering audio, revering shots, comparing continuity. And Netflix hasn't said a word. No confirmation. No dismissal. No casual explanation. Only silence. And that silence is louder than any statement could be. At this stage, conformity gate is more than a theory. It's a shared discomfort, a sense that the show wanted viewers to feel uneasy, that the calm wasn't resolution. It was submission. Whether a hidden episode ever appears almost becomes irrelevant, because Stranger Things conditioned its audience to question reality, to hunt for patterns, to mistrust clean endings. So until something definitively closes that door, the question keeps returning. Did the game truly end? Or did we simply stop playing? Eventually, every theory reaches a threshold where evidence slows and interpretation takes over. Conformity gate is standing at that boundary now. Not because it collapsed, but because it collided with something more powerful than proof. Silence. What sustains this theory isn't a single frame or soundbite. It's the lack of finality, the missing period at the end of the sentence. The finale didn't feel like a door slamming shut. It felt like a latch clicking quietly, with movement still audible on the other side. That difference matters. Ambiguity invites thought. Incompleteness demands answers. And the reason conformity gate continues to grow is because thousands of viewers felt the same thing independently. Not anger. Not heartbreak. Unease. The kind that signals something essential never happened. That doesn't confirm a secret episode. It doesn't prove a hidden plan. It doesn't guarantee Netflix is orchestrating a reveal. What it does show is that the ending failed to land emotionally in the way true conclusions do. And when a story built with this level of care produces that reaction at scale, people start searching for meaning. Vecna was never about spectacle. His power has always been psychological. He doesn't win through destruction. He wins through belief, through convincing people that the world they're experiencing is the only one that exists. That's why Conformity Gate fits so cleanly. It doesn't rely on shock twists or resurrection tropes. It reframes the ending itself as the weapon, peace as control, closure as surrender, acceptance as loss. And that idea lingers because it aligns perfectly with the show's themes. Still, caution is necessary. There's a fine line between interpretation and projection. between discovering intent and imposing it, between curiosity and insistence. Sometimes an ending feels wrong because it genuinely missed the mark, because expectations were impossible, because compromises happened. That explanation cannot be ignored. But conformity gate hasn't crossed into fantasy because it welcomes skepticism. Believers and critics challenge each other. Evidence is tested. Claims are debunked. Others remain unresolved. That isn't denial. That's an unfinished conversation. And here's the undeniable truth. Even if nothing else ever happens, something meaningful already has. The audience didn't move on. They leaned closer. They rewatched, reconsidered, reevaluated. They treated the finale the way the show taught them to treat the upside down, as a hidden layer beneath what's visible. That alone speaks volumes about Stranger Things as a narrative experiment. It trained viewers to question reality, and then ended by daring them to do exactly that. So maybe the real question is whether a secret episode exists. Maybe it's whether the show intended this discomfort. Whether the lack of catharsis was deliberate. Whether uncertainty was the final message. Whether the story didn't end because endings aren't meant to be certain. Or maybe, just maybe, the dice are still waiting. And that's where you come in. Conformity gate doesn't survive on belief. It survives on engagement, on viewers revisiting scenes, noticing overlooked details, challenging assumptions, testing conclusions. So the invitation isn't to accept the theory, it's to examine it. Rewatch the finale, not with emotion but with attention. Observe the background, listen carefully, track framing, packing, and focus. Ask not, is this clever, but does this feel intentional? If you've already done that, compare perspectives. What convinced you? What didn't? Which explanations still hold and which collapse under scrutiny? And never let anyone tell you that questioning a story means you misunderstood it. Stranger Things always rewarded curiosity. The moment people stop asking questions is the moment the game actually ends. So speak up, challenge it, reinforce it, tear it apart if you can. Because whether Conformity Gate is a hidden masterpiece or the most elaborate case of collective overanalysis ever created, one fact remains undeniable. The ending didn't release us. And stories that truly finish don't behave that way. So until the silence breaks, the dice are removed, and the door finally shuts, the same question remains unanswered. Did the game actually end? Or did we just stop rolling the dice?